Today is October 7th, 2023. I was at Winco today, and because I'm in poverty, I go to a laundromat to do my laundry. The guy's name is Jack, and he used to be the attendant there. And then I think he was replaced by somebody much younger. And then I was at Winco buying my burrito, a gallon of milk, and 2 raisin bagels. I love raisin bagels. And when I saw this Jack standing in line at the cashier, I said, Jack! Because I haven't seen him in a while. And so, and then he looked over and says, hey, good to see you, or something like that. And I said, hey, it's a pleasant surprise to see you. And he goes, what? And I told him, well, it's a pleasant surprise to see you. And he goes, oh. And then he went on his own. I think it was either his son or maybe a social worker helping him with the groceries. I think that's what's happening. Because I think what happens is old people, when they're old, they require things, some help acquiring things and moving about from here to here. Because in America, you just can't live without having a vehicle, some sort of means to travel, because things are so far away. On foot. So I was watching this guy named Brad Owens. Now Brad Owens, he shows what he does as a poker player, and he's reasoning and thinking. Okay? His reasoning and thinking is being displayed on YouTube video. He talks about it. He says, okay, I have an ace and a 3 clubs, okay? And then there are 2 clubs out and no matching pair. And the other person has been betting right along. And he says, okay, at this point, he's discussing the statistical probability of the other person moving in or whatever the situation is. And he says, okay, so I'm gonna go all in. And so he does. And then the person just holds off, right? Holds off. Meaning, in his mind, Brad's mind, he's saying, oh, he didn't just jump right in, which means that he doesn't have a big hand, okay? And so there's hope, he says, right? And so it was a bluff that he was doing. And because he didn't have a pair and he was on a draw, and the fact that he's called, the other person didn't immediately call, is that maybe he also has a draw, right? So there's a statistical probability. So then at the end of it, he says, oh, do you want to run it once or do you want to run it twice? And so Brad says, run it twice. And there you go, run it twice. And so the first was 6 of clubs, 6 of a spade, which means that he didn't make his flush, and so he lost because the other person has 2 queens, right? And then the second card was a 2 of club, which is a flush. So they chop the pot in half. Okay, so these are the thinking that goes on in trading, in poker, and so it is essentially the same thing as a day trader. People talk about how professional poker playing is very similar to day trading. Essentially, it is very, very similar to day trading because there has to be a thought that occurs, and these thoughts must be laid out in foundation in order to provide clues to how certain things are forming. Okay. So that means playing poker and doing day trading is very, very similar, because I have to think about, okay, here's the situation, here's the scenario, here's what it did yesterday, here's where the significance is, and then if it hits this point and it does this action, then the statistical probability of repeating the thing that I had in my mind is higher. But if a stock hits the support and just runs right through, that means that there is a high probability that the stock is going to keep going down and down and down. Okay, that's what happens. And that's the reality of day trading.